So, hello, good morning. It is day 30. Day 30, the new YouTube day number 30. So, this is the 29th of September, and I'm talking about the events that took place on the 28th of September. So, as reported yesterday, we are in the middle of a hurricane, and this is a very slow moving hurricane. I think it's now been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's over central Florida, is dumping lots of rain, but it doesn't seem to be, at least from my perspective, I haven't ventured out, but it doesn't seem to be anything catastrophic for us. Now, a lot of people in Florida have lost power. A lot of people have had, you know, um, their properties damaged. There's millions of people who don't have power in Florida, but we're not them. Unfortunately, we live inland, so it's one of the advantages of living inland. And if you are interested in coming to Florida, and especially Central Florida, you talk to me, reach out to me. I'm a real estate agent. I can help you buy or sell your home here in Central Florida. So the events of the 28th, it was kind of like an off day. Kids are out of school, no school. They don't go to school for the rest of this week. They won't go back to school till next Monday. And that's because that a lot of the schools are becoming shelters. But I think that was taken in an abundance of caution. They wanted to make sure that no matter what happens, that they were going to be prepared for anything. But fortunately, I think in this area, we're going to be fine. There might be some downed trees, or there might be, but it compared to what it was like on the western coasts, like in Fort Myers and Cape Coral. Those folks got slammed. They have some real serious issues right now, and you have thoughts and prayers go out to them. I mean, that was it was like the most devastating hurricane that hit Florida, and it hit them mostly. But when it started to come inland, it started to weaken in its power. But it's still dumping lots and lots of rain. The whole state of Florida is going to get rain over this next day. This is the second day, and it really won't exit until tomorrow, which is Friday. So we're still talking about what I did on Wednesday. So this is just recapping Wednesday. Kids were out of school. My oldest daughter is staying with a friend, and she called me on the spot, and she put T-Mobile on the line. That she's been getting some unwanted calls, and there's a feature with another plan that it's not with my current plan, and I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I don't like to be put on the spot. I like to read things. I want to look over things. But I went ahead. It's like the lady insisted there was no issue on price. But I'll never do that again. I don't like that. And that's just I don't even know if I'm going to stay with T-Mobile. They've been a good service, but I just don't know. There's other services out there that I may want to try. What I liked about T-Mobile was that T-Mobile was at one point was the best international option. Like if you went to any international country, you could take your T-Mobile phone and turn it on and it would work, and you would have internet. So you wouldn't have to mess around and buy another cell phone chip and all that. But things have changed now. There's got Google Fi, and they got Starlink, and they got all these other things out there now that, T-Mobile is one of the more expensive providers now. So I'm like wondering, well, what's in this relationship? What's this relationship really about? So I may not stay with T-Mobile. I may decide to go with another cell phone company. We're gonna see. Maybe I'll make that change. I'm gonna talk to T-Mobile. I had damaged my phone. I have to go in there, ask them if they're willing to replace it, because when I was dealing with AppleCare, they wanted $100. It's only like cosmetic damage to it. So this whole thing is not like what I thought it would be. Like so many other things in life. You're promised and told it's going to be this. You're going to get insurance and this and that, and then when you go to get when you have something, an issue, they want to say, well, you got to pay this. It doesn't cover this deductible and this and that. So it's never as good as what they say it is. So that's my issue with T-Mobile. So anyway, yesterday the gyms are all closed. Planet Fitness is closed, so my going to the gym every day is temporarily suspended. So, but I did do 45 minutes on my own treadmill and a 2-minute jog, and I'll tell you, that treadmill that we bought, I bought a real big. It was almost a commercial grade treadmill, but it got me through the pandemic, and situations like this where the gym is closed. At least I can still get a semblance of some kind of physical activity, because now I want to keep that. I want to keep that pattern going. I want to keep that all going. Other than that, yesterday I pretty much was lazy, watching the news and following the events about the hurricane. I did pay for and start the AHIP training, which is necessary for me to continue to do Medicare, and then also registered as a Kingdom Medicare. I started that process. So the AHIP and the Kingdom Medicare, I started those processes. I also finished a training segment in the Remote Wellness Academy, and I didn't write that down in my notes, which I should have. So I also was doing Remote Wellness Academy, and I finished Module 3, Training 3. So I'll put that in my notes that I finished. So there's always the watching the lesson, which is an hour, or sometimes an hour or so, maybe a little bit less, and then there's the homework, and then the journaling and things like that. And I count this as part of that journaling too. So I watched the module 3 and training 3, commented on the required commenting post, and completed the video and the journal entry. And then I just, again, like I said, I followed the news about the hurricane, and there's also some very upsetting news. I think the hurricane is a big issue, especially for people living in Florida. And it seems like the Florida, issue, the hurricane, because it affects the whole state of Florida. But that was the national news, was the Hurricane Ian on national news. But there's another news segment that's not getting enough attention that I think that it should, and that is that there was an act of sabotage against Nord Stream 1 and 2. That's the pipeline going from Germany to Russia. And those pipes are under the ocean, and they carry natural gas, and they're fortified with concrete. They have the pipe, and then that pipe is encased in concrete. And there's two of them. There's two separate lines. So there was two separate explosions at two different times that were able to destroy or interrupt, dismantle, or I think permanently destroy those two lines. So, they're saying it's a clear act of sabotage. They don't know who it's from. Don't know if it's from Russia. Don't know if it's from us. Don't know if it's from another country. But that's really bad. That could be really, really, really bad. And that could be bad because other kinds of, if the Russians believe that we had something to do with it, and we might have, we don't know what's going on. Nobody knows who did what. Then they may retaliate, and they may do something like, we have underwater cables for internet and other things. They may decide to go after those kinds of things. This could get really, really ugly. Things are spiraling out of control. Russia recently just had a referendum in the breakaway areas of Ukraine. They had a supposed referendum. They're saying that the people there had agreed to become a part of Russia. So any attack from the Ukrainians to regain their territory is going to now be seen as an attack on Russia, and Russia's threatening nuclear weapons. None of that is good. And if somebody's threatening you with something like that, you want to take it really seriously. If one of my children went to school and made a threat, and this has actually happened not to my kids, but to other kids, they went to school and they made a kid threat, and then they have them on the news and they're being hauled out in handcuffs for making like a terrorist threat. Well, if somebody's threatening nuclear weapons, right? Because this is what they're saying about kids. We take all threats seriously. Well, if somebody's threatening nuclear weapons, you want to take that shit really seriously, because the chance of a miscommunication is very high. Somebody flies off course and they shoot down a plane, and then another plane gets shot down. Next thing you know, we're in the middle of World War III. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't like bullies. I don't like people who threaten things like that. But if somebody's got their back against the wall, obviously I don't think that the Russians, they think the Russians thought it would be much easier to take Ukraine. I think they thought they were going to take Ukraine like, shock and awe, be going in there and having them capitulate within a couple days, and it hasn't happened. In fact, the Ukrainians have really fought the good fight. And, they're not anywhere numbered as near as what the Russians are. So if Putin's got his back against the wall and uses nuclear weapons, it takes it to a whole new level. I mean, okay, maybe the best case is that everybody backs down and we just let that go and we sever relationships with Russia. But think of people, all these climate change people. Think of the damage to the climate on just one nuclear explosion going off, right? You forget about like somebody getting mad that you drive an SUV or carbon emissions from an airplane. Forget about all that. A nuclear bomb going off is going to be very, very damaging all over the world. No matter where it happens in the world, a nuclear explosion happening is going to be more detrimental to our world than anything that we could possibly do on our own, whether that's driving a car or, So, I would say, hey, pray, tell your family that you love them, get your affairs in order, because you just don't know. We don't really know what's happening. And then there's all kinds of strange things going on with the economy. The British pound is almost at the same level as the US dollar, which is amazing. They're having all kinds of economic issues in the UK. We have it bad in the US, but Europe has it much worse, and it's going into winter, and those people are going to suffer. So this is not a good situation. The flip side is that, we've had bad times before. People get wealthy in bad times. As long as you're living and breathing, you might as well commit to self-improvement and wellness. Exercise. Don't be in a state of panic all the time. There's nothing that you or I can do about all of this. It just is something that has to play out. But do the best you can with what you have. And the only thing that I would say about all these other things is that if you had some kind of vacation or family outing or doing something, do it, because it may not be available to you next year. Nobody saw the pandemic happen. Nobody thought that something like that was ever going to happen. I never saw anything. I'm 52 years old. I never saw anything like COVID virus coming up and shutting everything down for 2 years. We never saw anything like that. But it happened. So if that can happen, then nuclear war could happen. It's very possible, and we could all be living in the Stone Age again, and we could all be living, trying to be, like going around trying to scrape for food and things like that. And hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But while we're still alive and while we still have our faculties, and take the family out to dinner. Take the family out to like a. In fact, I think now that I'm talking about that, I think we're going to have take the family out to dinner and just say, hey, this might be the last time we have. I don't scare them too much, but it's true. It's like, hey, while we have this chance, let's take advantage of it. All right. Well, thanks for letting me talk as long as I have, and I will talk to you tomorrow.